The trading station's cantina buzzed with the usual mix of species, Zephyrians with their crystalline wings, bulbous Mortakians clicking their mandibles, and sleek Valthans discussing shipping routes in their melodic tongue. But in the corner, booth sat two beings that made every other patron give them a wide berth: humans. Liana Martinez adjusted her worn leather jacket and took another sip of her synth whiskey, her dark eyes scanning the room with practiced caution. Across from her, Daniel Chen leaned back in his chair, seemingly relaxed, but his hand rested casually, near the plasma pistol on his hip. To the other species in the cantina, they looked deceptively fragile. No natural armor, no venomous barbs, no electromagnetic fields. Just soft pink skin and dense bone structure. They had no idea they were looking at apex predators from the galaxy's most notorious Deathworld. "The cargo manifest checks out," Liana said quietly, sliding a data pad across the table. "Rare earth, minerals from the Kepler colonies. Should fetch a good price on Proxima Station." Daniel nodded, his weathered face bearing the scars of a dozen firefights across the outer rim. "Good. We need the credits if we're going to keep the Endeavor running. That hyperdrive won't repair itself." Their conversation was interrupted by the unmistakable sound of chair legs scraping against metal flooring. A massive figure approached their table, a Catherian enforcer, nearly 8 feet tall with chitinous plates covering his body and 4 arms ending in razor-sharp claws. Behind him, 3 more Catherians flanked their position, blocking the exits. The cantina fell silent. "Well, well," the lead Catherian clicked in heavily accented standard. 2 little Deathworlders playing at being traitors. His mandibles clicked with what passed for amusement among his species. "You've been making quite a reputation for yourselves in this sector." Liana set down her glass slowly, her expression calm but her muscles coiled like springs. "We're just here for a drink and some business. No trouble." "Oh, but there is trouble," the enforcer hissed. "You see, my employer doesn't like competition, especially from primitives who should have stayed in their little corner of the galaxy." He leaned forward, his breath reeking of sulfur. "So here's what's going to happen. You're going to transfer ownership of your ship and cargo to us, and maybe, just maybe, we'll let you live." Daniel's hand moved incrementally closer to his weapon. "And if we refuse?" The Catherian's 4 eyes glinted with malice. "Then we'll take what we want from your corpses." For a moment, the cantina held its breath. Every patron knew the reputation of Catherian enforcers. They were the bogeymen of the Outer Rim, feared by pirates and honest traders alike. Their exoskeletons could deflect most small arms fire, their reflexes were lightning fast, and their claws could shred durasteel. What they didn't know was that these 2 humans had survived the Centauri Wars, the plague riots of New Shanghai, and a dozen other conflicts that would have broken stronger species. The enforcer reached out with one of his lower arms to grab Liana's wrist, a gesture meant to demonstrate his dominance and her helplessness. That was his last mistake. Liana's hand snapped up like a striking viper, catching the Catherian's wrist and twisting with the precise leverage that only came from years of combat training. The sound of chitinous plates cracking echoed through the cantina. Before the enforcer could react to the pain, she had driven her elbow into the nerve cluster at the base of his neck, a weak point she'd learned about during a particularly brutal interrogation session 3 years prior. The massive alien dropped like a stone. Daniel was already moving. His plasma pistol cleared leather in a motion so fluid it seemed almost casual, and 3 precisely aimed shots dropped the remaining enforcers before they could raise their own weapons. The other cantina patrons dove for cover, but the fight was already over. Liana stood over the unconscious form of the lead enforcer, not even breathing hard. "You know what your real mistake was?" she asked conversationally, though the alien couldn't hear her. "You assumed that just because we look soft, we are soft. You forgot that we evolved on a planet where everything, the weather, the wildlife, even the plants, tried to kill us every single day." Daniel holstered his weapon and tossed a few credits on the table to cover their drinks. "Earth didn't make us the strongest species in the galaxy," he said to the terrified onlookers. "It made us the most adaptable and the most dangerous." As they walked toward the exit, Liana paused at the bar where the Zephyrian bartender was cowering behind a stack of bottles. You might want to call medical for your friends there, she said kindly. They'll live, but they're going to have some impressive bruises. Outside the cantina, the artificial atmosphere of the trading station felt cool against their skin. Daniel shook his head with a rueful smile. Every time we try to have a quiet drink? I know, Liana replied, pulling on her jacket. But you have to admit it never gets old. The look on their faces when they realize what they're dealing with. As they made their way back to their ship, word was already spreading through the station's communication networks. The humans were on the move again. The Deathworlders were not to be trifled with. And somewhere in the depths of space, other predators took note and gave the species from Earth the respect they had earned through blood and determination, one misunderstanding at a time. The Endeavor lifted off into the black, carrying its human crew toward their next adventure, leaving behind another reminder of why the galaxy had learned to fear and respect the children of Earth. After all, they hadn't climbed to the top of their food chain by playing nice.